There's no shame in admitting that you were conned, that you can be conned, that you can be fooled, that you were manipulated, that you're just dumb. It's fine. We all have been dumb. We all have been smart. But what con artists count on is us having such an intense fear of humiliation and defensiveness about how we were fooled in the first place that we won't expose them. And that's the thing. There's actually complete strength in admitting, hey, I was duped. This is what happened. That's strength. It's not strength to enable that con artist by pretending, like kind of just like coiling into ourselves in fear. And what I want to get at is that currently we've got somebody, Andrew Tate. He's been deplatformed, and he's currently using that as a way to basically get a bigger audience, because now when he's deplatformed, suddenly everybody has a curiosity about him because he's not on. They will actively pursue his content and programs, and he's wanting that. Like, he wants people to then enroll in what he has as his offering is Hustlers University 2.0. Now, the people who actually have exposed this have revealed that, oh, I thought I was getting into a program where Andrew Tate himself was dispensing knowledge in videos, or in him having made maybe content, videos, or actual Zooms, but he actually has other people teaching, and it's just very basic Googleable sales stuff. And the fact is he mostly has it that if you enroll in Hustlers University 2.0, that you create content promoting him, and then you get a cut of some of his money. So it's basically just a huge network of people doing affiliate marketing, pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing scheme, so that they're then promoting him. And the problem with that is that when people ask Andrew Tate, hey, could you tell me more about Hustlers University? Is it what it's described to me when people are resharing your content, and when people don't get you as a teacher? Could you just kind of add some clarification to that? Instead of responding with, oh, I would like to provide clarification because I am an honest man that has a lot to say and wants people to understand what I'm offering. Instead, notice there's an extreme instant. He immediately attacks, and he attacks the person who's asking on a way of devaluing. Like, he'll say, like, he'll immediately kind of say, no one thinks you're smart. Why are you asking this? You're really boring. Why are you asking this? Like, extremely dismissive, mean-spirited comments, instead of just explaining what his program is, because he has nothing to hide and he's proud of it. He instead, the way he describes Hustlers University is extremely grandiose, broad, and purposely vague. Now, what that does is that just creates the idea, oh, it's the best program, it's better than a university, you're going to get rich quick. Well, we have a phrase called a get-rich-quick scheme. And what it is people want to get rich quick, so they pay somebody, and many people pay this person to get rich quick. The only person who's getting rich quick is the person you're paying for get-rich-quick tips, right? And not only that, but in his kind of parasitic branches, he has people then promoting his own brand and content and getting more dupes into Hustlers University 2.0. So to me, all the red flags are there, and I was thinking, but why don't people whistleblow? Because actually, the people who go into that university are already at a kind of scarcity mindset with money. They want to learn how to get rich quick. They want to be able to get girls and have money. They are already at a level of thinking that this materialistic guru is the answer to their problems. And so when they do go through Hustlers University, they have a professor, they have a guy that's not Andrew Tate, who's just another guy on the branches of the pyramid scheme that's giving them information that's very common sense. They just think, well, there's something wrong with, there's a tendency to self-doubt and internalized blame. Oh, there's something wrong with me. Like, I couldn't take this information and become a Tate. And also, I promoted him, and that only got me so far, and oh, that's a shame. And so those people, are they going to be motivated when they're already in a tendency to blame themselves mindset? Are they going to expose this as a scam? No. And that's what an Andrew Tate type of con man counts on. He counts on their ability to internalize blame rather than externalize it at him. And then he counts on the fact that they are going to feel shame and humiliated, because he might, if somebody does say this university is a scam, he just come at them and say, well, you're not an alpha, you're too much of a soy boy and make it. Like, anybody that's not a soy boy can make this work for them, and they tell me every day, I got tons of reviews. Like, he would come at you with, well, it's you that's the problem, it's you. And so see, that's why it's very hard to speak up against a con artist, because their way of devaluing and attacking you, smearing you, and going below the belt is so frightening. And there's a defensiveness, there's a pride, there's a fear of them doing that, and they know, they count on that. That's their general way of operating in the world anyway. You hear Andrew Tate when he talks about his cam girl business, that he had a purposeful deterrent for girls that wanted to leave. He would throw a party when they decided to leave and all talk shit about her. Well, everybody that wanted to leave then were de-incentivized to doing that, because they knew that he had that kind of group humiliating, mocking kind of ritual. And he says that in his own, he's not even saying that indirectly. He says directly, that was a tactic I used so that they didn't want to leave. So that's the similar, like, these kind of parasites, their way of life is people are of use to them, and when they're not, I will immediately sting, attack, devalue, deride, and smear them so that I'm always right, they're always wrong. And so what you've got to realize is what's actually strength. It may not seem like it, because you might be mired in this sphere of humiliation and defensiveness of the fact that you were fooled or duped in the first place. But what's actually strength is speaking up against it and just saying, no, that was a scam. Like, and not having this big, long, like, emotion behind it, but say, no, like, I thought I was going to get a program from Andrew Tate. He has other guys teaching. What the fuck? Just say it like that. Just no emotion, just very matter of fact. And then when he comes at you with, well, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, it's like, well, I couldn't. The fact is promoting you at the expense of me. It's a pyramid scheme, and it's the tale as old as time. Like, you're just like a Mary Kay makeup boy. Like, you can use the same, like he is. He's just like another, it's nothing new under the sun. It's not as though this is a new original con. It's the same old con, but people have the same scarcity and emotions, and they can be manipulated. And there's no shame in admitting you were manipulated, because we all have been dumb, and we all have been smart. We all have been cowardly, and we all have been courageous. It's not like one of those labels you just stick on our forehead and that's what we are, like coward, 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 and that's all we are. It doesn't have to become a life sentence. You had fluctuating times when you were dumb, when you were smart, when you were cowardly, when you were brave. And we got to look at being duped that way, because otherwise we won't speak out against people that really do need to be exposed. Like, Andrew Tate is currently he loves actually being deplatformed, because it really feeds into he can now be kind of a martyr and self-aggrandize about how he's such a threat to the elites, and then he can continually have these live streams where you might get a very special ticket into the war room or to Hustlers University, when the fact is he wants to use this current notoriety to get more dupes into his program. And I saw him just constantly, every hour, him and his basically flying monkeys and enablers, like that hypnotist man that's in the war room that constantly talks about, he's constantly reducing women to sex, but then judging them for being sexual. It's like a whole case study of it. Anyway, and you can tell where Andrew Tate is because that guy tweets exactly what Andrew Tate wants. And they both were like, Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate will honor you with his presence and give you wonderful insights. He is ready. Like they act as though they actually need Joe Rogan and his audience more than Tate. Like the Joe Rogan needs Tate, but they word it in this way like, Joe Rogan, you would be so lucky to have the great mind of the great king of Andrew Tate on your show. And they did it like every half hour, so they were constantly trying to get that because they want that so they can have, again, they want to use this so that they can get more people into that Hustlers University and keep making money. So it's just it's just funny to me because of it's got that kind of narcissistic cult leader vibe of just always like, I'm great, everyone's beneath me, who wants to join my movie? It's so great. Just completely abandon yourself and your questions and challenges to my control, and then you're in. But anyway, Joe Rogan, like they're all doing that, and they act like, oh, Joe Rogan would really be honored to have Tate on. It's like, no, you need him to get where you're going. And they're doing that consistently. They really want to use this to keep getting new, fresh targets. And you got to see that and realize that they're not the people that have to constantly assert how powerful they are and how rich they are and how many girls they are. They are a walking ad for how powerless they really feel inside. You look at who's really a top G, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. He does not have to constantly assert that he has women and money. We know he does. Like, people speculate on it and write smear pieces on him, but he's not going around talking like that at all because he just is. He embodies it. You can tell. He's handsome. Was in the best romantic, best-selling movie of all time, just like decades-long blockbuster. He was in that. Complete dream, like Scorpio and Libra, like, dating models. But does he ever like talk and brag about how he's top G and try to like No, he doesn't have to. He just lives his life. That's power, an understated power. People who have to constantly say, I get laid and I'm rich, there's a disconnect there. There's not true self-worth. And then when they're constantly insulting others, it's like, what's going on there? What's going on there? So with con men, with con artists, just be aware that they count on your fear of humiliation, because that's also their exact fear. People know how to hurt people by what they're hurt by, and they have an extreme fear of humiliation and exposure to a level of annihilation. So they count on you having that same fear so that you won't speak out. And so the reason I focus on Andrew Tate as an example is also the conversation doesn't even focus on how he cons men. It just is on this misogyny and battle of the sexist thing, which, yes, that's there. But like all these men that are worshiping him as kind of their like daddy and cult leader, it's like, wake up and realize he has no regard for you. He thinks of you as a sucker to exploit, and he's exploiting your very vulnerability and kind of your passivity because you want some of his confidence, but his confidence is a charade. That grandiosity is a charade. It's all a false self. It's cringe bravado. And just realize the biggest strength you can have is actually admitting your vulnerability when you're wrong, when you're duped. He doesn't have that. He's never wrong. He always says, I'm never wrong. So actually the strength that you can have from admitting I was duped by Andrew Tate's Hustlers University, that's stronger than any kind of bullshit narrative he has about how But like when you're bragging about money and the way that you make money is by just being a great parasite, being a parasite isn't powerful. Like, oh wow, I gathered all my girlfriends together, I convinced them to become cam girls, and then I convinced them because they loved me to give me 80% and them 20. It's like, wow, great job, you get a manipulation award. But it doesn't mean that you, like when he's talking about how men want to come home after a hard day of work and warrior to have a woman that's pleasant. It's like, but you don't come home after being a warrior who's working hard. All you do is just find people to exploit and then take that money and then sit around talking about how rich and hardworking and warrior like you are. You don't create anything. You don't connect people. You don't coach people. You con people. So get it straight. You're a parasite that's calling a parasitic lifestyle and grandiosity. You're calling that power. And that's I guess that's a form of conquering and manipulation, but there's no level of true admiration and work ethic and something that's innovative to that. It's just a person that's good at exploiting the weakness of others. It's like, okay, I guess we could give you a medal for being a good pickup artist that's good at manipulation because you're traumatized and you won't acknowledge it and you deflect responsibility. Like, we could go into that, but like, why? Why? So this is in short to say, if you've been through Hustlers University 2.0, please expose it and don't have the fear that others are going to look down at you for being a fool. We've all been fools. We've all been duped. We've all been smart and we've all been courageous. We've all been all of them. It's not a life sentence to be duped once. We've all been duped. It's okay.